Atone yourself!
Exile, do something!
Hello Exiles and welcome to version 2 of my Smite Crit Trickster build guide.
This build guide focuses on improving our defenses and improving our DPS. We also remove Bottled Faith and still maintain a high DPS. In version 2, we've heavily invested in frenzy charges with almost 100% uptime of frenzy charges while mapping, and this gives us much more attack speed, scaling up our build damage. We have high DPS without flasks, and this is so that you can do bossing activities without your flasks, and we've also added the Tides of Time belt to give you improved flask uptime during bossing. We have improved block and an improved flask setup. We've also invested heavily into our Mercenary gear, giving us more negative lightning resistance and giving us the lucky on hit. We also add Intimidate on Mercenary gloves, Rage on our Timeless Jewel, and we've added Immortal Call for better defenses. We also are able to get Elemental Reflect immunity by using a different gem setup. We've added a Desecrate spell to trigger General's Cry during bossing. This was missing in the last guide. We have an improved gem setup for auras, enabling you to stack more auras easily. And we have removed our multi-curse setup and we assume the Mercenary is immortal. So this is a major change from the previous build where I said you can design and walk around, even if your Mercenary dies. So in this build, we assume the Mercenary is immortal, we improve our Mercenary gear, and therefore we don't have Anathema or the multi-curse setup. We've removed Bottled Faith and we still maintain high DPS. Our new DPS stats are high DPS with mapping when we have max frenzy charges, and we have a very good decent boss DPS without frenzy charges. Now for bossing, usually you can turn off your flasks when checking your DPS, but I've kept it on because we have the Tides of Time belt, which gives us a lot of flask charges even while bossing. We maintain a high crit with above 60% crit chance and above 600% crit multi. We have 4 power charges as before, and newly we have invested into frenzy charges, giving us a maximum of 5 frenzy charges. In terms of defenses, we've achieved better block. So we have 75-70 block. And if you use a Svalin, you can go all the way to 88-88 without changing any of your skill tree. And we have 90% spell suppression as before, 90% physical damage reduction, 80% all resistances, and ES on block and ES leech. So all these defensive layers act together, giving us a very strong tanky build that should be able to do very crazy mapping without dying much. Now in terms of the immunities, this build is able to achieve a lot of immunities without using mageblood, and this is something that's very cool because you can do very high-end T17 mapping and you're immune to so many effects that greatly improves your defenses. So the first two I want to talk about is Critical Strike Immune and Curse Immune. Now these two are conditional. The first one, Critical Strike Immune, is not immune to crits from all map monsters, but basically from a single marked monster. So let's say there's a pack of 50 monsters and one of them has the mark, you'll be immune to crits from that marked enemy. So this is particularly useful for bossing, either for T17 map bosses or for Uber bosses, when there's one major boss that deals very heavy crit damage that could instantly kill you, and this will protect you from that kind of damage. Now curse immunity, we are curse immune during flask uptime. When a flask go off, we have reduced curse effect but not curse immune. We are chaos and poison immune from the chaos inoculation node. We are elemental ailment immune. This is constant because we have the storm shroud jewel that grants this. We are immune to many different ground effects, all of the elemental ground effects like shock, chilled, burning, etc., as well as the chaos ground effects like caustic ground. We are immune to corrupted blood and even action speed debuff immune. So any debuff that reduces your action speed, such as the T17 Glimpse of Infinity or Temporal Chains, or literally any debuff that decreases your action speed, we are immune to that kind of debuff. We have the following charges. We have Power Charge on crit, Frenzy Charge on kill and block. We have Endurance Charge on block. We have Onslaught, and newly we have added Rage into the build using a Timeless Jewel. Our main sources of DPS are Smite of Divine Judgement and General's Cry. As you can see, the percentages are marked on the left. We are no longer counting Tempest Shield into the DPS calculation. The total build cost is marked on this page. As you can see, we have two sections. The one on the right is from the previous build guide version 1, and the one in yellow are the newly added items. Many of the items shown are endgame items. For example, the level 21 gems are particularly expensive, and if you want to go for a budget version, simply don't purchase those and you can buy those later as and when you feel like. Okay, this is exciting. For our new skill gem setup, we've improved certain gem layouts because we were able to remove the multi-curse setup, freeing up 4 gem slots. So now on the boots we have added Desecrate, which is a 1-link spell that we can cast during bossing. On the weapon we've added Brutality, which gives us elemental ailment immunity. And on the helmet, we have CWDT Immortal Call, which improves our defense. Now on the boots, you can see we have Enlighten, which is now able to be used with Discipline and Precision together, therefore improving your ability to stack more auras. I'm going to now show you how to craft your glove socket colors. So the first thing is we set it to 2 sockets. Okay, then we set it to at least 2 red sockets, which are the most difficult colors. Now we simply use the socket craft 3, 2, 3, 2 until we get 3 red sockets. So as you can see, we've got 3 red sockets. I set it now to 4 sockets, and I hope for a green. If you don't get it, you do 3, 4, 3, 4 until you get a green. To end it, we simply use 4 linked sockets and our craft is complete. For the rare helmet, you now need at least 16% to 18% mana reservation. We get one from the explicit mod, as you can see here, increased mana reservation efficiency, and the other one can be crafted using an ichor. And the reduced mana cost of attacks is necessary so that you spend less energy shield every time you use our attacks. Now since we're using the Whispers of Infinity amulet, instead of spending mana we're spending energy shield, so this mod acts as a reduction to the energy shield spent per attack. Now I recommend using 2 belts instead of just one. You need a mapping belt and a bossing belt. If you have mageblood, that could replace all of these, but without mageblood you'll need 2 of these for a better experience. So the first belt, the mapping belt, you can use either a vice or a crystal belt or a headhunter, which basically gives you a lot of power during mapping. And the second one, bossing belt, right, which is Tides of Time. So the important mod here is utility flask gain 3 charges. All the other mods are not necessary. And this mod basically refills your flasks during long boss encounters. So when you're fighting T17 map bosses or uber bosses, this is something very useful because a lot of our power and defense comes from flasks. So this ensures that we have high flask uptime. If you're only doing T16 content, you will not need Tides of Time. Now for our flask setup. I've removed Bottled Faith because I was very unhappy with the very low uptime, whether it was during mapping or bossing. I found that Bottled Faith was off most of the time, kind of wasting a flask slot. Now, this is up to you. You can use any unique flask that you want. So instead, for now, I've replaced it with the Sulfur Flask, which has nearly constant uptime. And the other flasks are more or less the same. We have Diamond Flask for more crit, Silver Flask for attack speed, and the other flask to help us get more max res. The flask suffixes we need are stun immune, curse immune, more armor, and then you can go with crit strike for more DPS. The last flask suffix, if you have a sulfur flask, you can use either res or anything that you want. To search for a new timeless jewel, you need a timeless jewel with at least 2 rage on hit as well as at least 1 major strength node, and it should be the Conqueror Kaom. I've included some seeds that you can use in the description if you'd like to directly buy a correct timeless jewel. Now if you don't want rage on hit, you can go for chance to deal double damage, in which case you need at least 2 of the chance to deal double damage. When looking for crit jewels, this is a search that lets you find very cheap and affordable crit jewels that work for this build. So what you're going to do is you're going to add 3 of these groups called count groups, and you're going to type in these numbers. We want at least 1 attack speed mod and at least 2 crit multi mods. I found this is even more DPS than a triple crit jewel. So we have 1 attack speed, 2 crit mods, and the third one is either resistance or another crit mod or another attack speed mod. So this will let you find a lot of different types of jewels that work well with this build. I recommend searching for at least 6% attack speed, but if it's very expensive, you can reduce the numbers. Now for the mercenary gear. We've made a few updates that give us more defense and more damage on our mercenary slot, and also tries to make the mercenary as immortal as possible. So the first thing is we want the Merc to have high armor to protect him from lightning damage. Secondly, we want his lightning res to be as close to -200 as possible. The cost dramatically increases the more you try to stack this. Use the Immortal Flesh Belt with -25 res and high regen. So this will give you a nice mod that helps you stack negative lightning res. As well as it makes the Merc much tankier because it has a lot of life regen. Next, the gloves need chance to intimidate on hit, which you can craft using a Ember. So this lets the Merc apply Intimidate, which is a buff that boosts our DPS. For the complete setup, check the video description for the Merc POB, and you can get a good reference on all the items that you can copy from there. I've tried all sorts of Mercs. I've tried bow guys, mage guys, even Templar type Mercs, but none of them were as tanky as the Striker Mercs. So I currently have a Striker Merc that can wear a Dorianis, and I've set it up with 50% chance to block attack damage. So this gives him a lot of defensiveness, plus we have the mod recover life on block on his shield. So this adds like a kind of a life recoup. Now, normally life recoup can also be gotten on rings, but that makes your rings very, very expensive. So instead I've used this mod, so you can buy this shield for a few divs and it should be much more affordable. So the shield needs to have at least 40% base chance to block, as well as the recover life on block mod. These are important. And we have the anoint as the mountain, which is crafted on the amulet that is put onto the Merc. So totally the Merc has now 50% chance to block attack damage. The Merc amulet and rings have changed a lot. I've gone into a kind of a budget endgame version with the Pokelstow amulet, which gives us lucky hits, which greatly improves our damage, as well as 2 rings with at least 100% lightning res. Now these rings were kind of expensive, they were around 10 div each, and I do not recommend using Kalandra's Touch because the Kalandra's Touch ring is kind of bugged. So the bug is basically that you'll have to equip and unequip your ring almost every map. And this is very annoying, and if you forget this, then your damage reduces. So instead of getting a Kalandra's Touch, I recommend just buying 2 different rings because it works out like a fit and forget kind of setup. So to summarize, in V2 we have better gear, better mercenary gear, we have 1 or 2 tattoos to cap our hit chance, and I've used 1 awakened skill gem, which is awakened elemental damage. And I want to correct a mistake I made in the previous video. Ephemeral Edge with RT cannot be used because RT blocks critical strikes. So the sword that is in the build guide is pretty much the best sword that you can use with this build. So that's all for our updated build guide. I hope you enjoyed this build guide, and until next time, stay sane, Exile.